Good morning. The devotional this morning is entitled, There Are Always Reasons. In reading and studying the teachings of Jesus, there is a critical and crucial matter of faith. I guess everything almost always comes back to, what kind of faith do I have, and who is my faith in? I'm talking this morning about our faith in Jesus as the Christ, and especially as the Savior. So when I hear Jesus' advice and guidance, I want to know why he is telling me this in a specific. He must have a reason. I want to know what the reason is. So I must often and usually, I must be willing to dig deeper below the surface to discover for myself why he is directing me in this unusual and specific way. Although the process may be applicable in many instances, let's take one and see if we can peel off some of the outer leaves and discover the almost secret reason for this particular teaching. In Matthew 5:41, Jesus gets very specific about living life without retaliation and minus revenge. He says, "And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go also the 2nd mile." This is in the paragraph that begins, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you." Why does Jesus set such a difficult way of relating to one another before us? And say, listening to Jesus as his Savior, I want to know why. I believe that there are 4 related aspects to Jesus' advice in this particular teaching. The first, and probably perhaps the most crucial, is the question of our power. If I allow the way I am treated to determine who and how I will live, I have essentially given away my power to someone else. Their treatment of me, I am admitting, will be determinative for my treatment of them. Question: How am I going to feel about myself as a valued person if I decide to allow the other person's treatment of me to direct my life? How am I going to feel about myself? Does Jesus see into my life and my self-esteem and know in advance that I'm not going to like myself very much for living this way? Does this Jesus, co-creator with God of us as human beings, does he realize and know the long-term negative effects of my retaliation way of living? I am absolutely certain that he sees this down the way for us. We don't see it in the immediate like he does. We want to do what we want to do right now. But Jesus wants us to look down the road and see what this leads to. There is also the related spiritual effect of my life if I choose the retaliation way of living. I have heard Jesus tell me that the way of following him as the Christ is not to live this way. Denying Jesus' advice, choosing not to follow his guidance, will cause a distancing to occur between myself and Jesus, as well as quite probably between myself and God. Jesus knew and knows that this will happen. We may not believe it will happen, but Jesus knows that it will happen. But let me go one aspect further in this teaching, which I believe to be the most critical. To allow, to allow the way I am treated to determine how I'm going to treat another is to give away my power. And when I give it away to another, I no longer have it to use for myself. I'm allowing the other, maybe you, to determine who I am, the way I act, the way I feel about myself, the way I see myself, and probably, and most critical of all, the way I love myself. One story and quote has been so very influential in allowing me to see the truth and value in Jesus' teachings. I want to read it to you. It's from John Powell's little book, Why Am I Afraid to Tell You Who I Am? You may have heard it before, but it bears repeating. Here's the way the story goes. The fully human person is an actor, not a reactor. The syndicated columnist Sidney Harris tells the story of accompanying his friend to a newsstand. The friend greeted the newsman very courteously, but in return received gruff and discourteous service. Accepting the newspaper, which was shoved rudely in his direction, the friend of Harris politely smiled and wished the newsman a nice weekend. As the two friends walked down the street, the columnist asked, "Does he always treat you so rudely?" "Yes, unfortunately he does." "And are you always so polite and friendly to him?" "Yes, I am." "Why are you so nice to him when he is so unfriendly to you?" "Because I don't want him to decide how I'm going to act." The suggestion is that the fully human person is his own person, that he is not at the mercy of all the pettiness, the meanness, the impatience, and the anger of others. Atmospheres do not transform him as much as he transforms them. Finally, I want to give you a maxim, a truth, a guide, which captures the essence of Jesus' teaching. This is something that I have written, and I submit it to you as being helpful to you. It has been a guide for me and for many, and I strongly recommend it to you. You are not responsible for the way others treat you, but you are responsible for the way that you treat the other. There may be other reasons Jesus sets this way before us, but sharing these with you may open up some other awarenesses on your part, which may come to you. The Spirit of Christ will guide you, strengthen you, and empower you to follow Jesus daily, and you will, I believe, discover blessings galore that will be yours as a gift from Jesus the Christ.